Hello, everyone participating, and welcome to the Win-Win Talks. So, I am here together with Juan Pierre, who is
Yes.
the recipient of the 2025 Win-Win Youth Award. And when we launched the theme of trailblazing leadership, we couldn't strictly define what that meant, but we knew it mattered, especially in the times that we are living in now. And then we learned about you, and we realized that you might truly embody what trailblazing leadership is. So you might be one of these definitions walking around out there through who you are, how you relate, what you do, and maybe also most importantly, why you do it. So in this short conversation, we'd like to explore your leadership principles and practices, how you mobilize and have mobilized young people, acted locally, influenced national policy, and contributed internationally on matters related to our future, climate, sustainability, systems change. So, in this win win talk, let's explore what systemic transformation might look like in practice, as practical we can be sitting in these two chairs
Yeah.
through your leadership. So, first out, many young people care deeply about the planet, our future, but I would say, or we would say, that few take on the kind of responsibility and leadership that you do in your work. And we wonder, where does that come from? What is the source of your sense of purpose, responsibility, and from where do you get the energy that keeps you going and doing what you believe is right?
I'll start by first thanking you and everybody that are actually accommodating this talk. It is very pleasure and pride for me to represent my country here. And the very simple answer will be my country. We are a very small and developing state, right? And we are bounded by the ocean. Every day in the news, all that I hear is yes, in 50 years, 100 years, Mauritius will be gone. And me to hear that, I never can, I can just flew outside and leave the ship, like we say, abandon the mission, like many Gen Zs would say. But no, this is not who I am. I want to defend my country, to preserve my country, and it's not just some lofty ideals. I would say that mainly it comes to my people, the people in my community, the people from my street. I want to fight for them because, just like I mentioned, they are my people. If I don't fight, who it will be? If it's not me, who? If it's not now, when? So it all started by this idea of doing something. And then I realized that I was really good at it. And I continued into it. I continued. I made it my academics. I made it my passion. And I made it my life motto. So I think that it all comes to my patriotic self, for my love for my country, my love for my people. And I think that I will continue to do it till the day that I die.
That's nice to hear. So the source is also a source of love, as you're
Yeah,
saying. Yeah,
I'm a big love person, as you can see,
yeah.
because I realize that I am very thankful that I'm Mauritian. I live by the sea, I live by nature. It's a very beautiful place. I have been given so many things. For example, we have free healthcare, we have free education, we have free Wi-Fi. We are a welfare state to its purest quality, and I feel a sense that I need to give back to my country, give back to the chance that God gave me, and definitely, I really love my country. I really love my people.
So that is where you draw the energy that comes in all types of engagement that you're
Yeah,
doing. Yeah.
definitely. It keeps me going, especially when I'm into negotiations. I give you one example. I was at the UNFSS, I think, in May for people who doesn't know UNFSS is when you argue for the food stock date, and with this will be the future about food security in the world. I was the youngest person there. Dr. Arvin Bulel could not make it, and so I was tasked to represent Mauritius. I gave everything. It kept me going through those long hours of negotiation, but I was like, 1 million people are depending on me right now.
Mm.
So I did not feel tired. I did not feel scared. I did not feel everything. I felt that sense of duty, that sense of work, that sense of belonging, that I had to represent them and I had to do it.
Mm. So how do you? Because that sounds like a lot of pressure.
There's a big meme ongoing. So for all my younger friends that are watching, pressure. What pressure? It's basically so much fun, because yes, it is something very serious. You have to negotiate right. You have to do all of that. but it's what I want to do with my life.
Mm,
You don't feel pressure when you're doing something that you love. You
mm,
don't feel pressure when you're doing something right. It just feels right. And I would like to mention that it's about winning and losing. At the end of the day, I win. Good. My country is super advancing. I lose, I learn. So
mm, mm,
win or lose, I don't feel pressure.
mm,
I
mm,
just feel very happy about it.
That's lovely. That's lovely to hear, and also hearing from that kind of from that type of practice, because it can also be like an everyday practice, of course, and we will get back to that a
Yeah.
bit towards the end of this conversation. And I would like to follow up on that, because one thing that you've said is the key to leading effectively is not to wait for the perfect opportunity,
Yeah.
but it's to start doing and accepting the real nature of things, the politics, the constraints, the contradictions that might be, and that you might not know everything in advance, but you have to act from basically the world as it is,
Yeah.
and not waiting for the perfect conditions to emerge. Can you tell us a bit more what that looks like in the way you go about your leadership?
Let me just tell you about the first time that I tried to do consultation for Ministry of Finance. It was 2021, I think. I was invited. Uh, Want to be noted, the Ministry of Finance is located in the Parliament, so it was my first time going to the Parliament.
And you were 16 at that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I just go 16-year-olds, flashy shoes, that style, and you say, yes, I will change the world and all of that. And I realized that my proposal was very flawed. I was asking my country, and hear that, to give 1 billion to mental health. Of course, they just tell me, no, it is impossible. We don't have that amount of money. But many people would have been mad and said, oh no, the government don't want to help, they don't realize and all that. What struck me was, oh, when really money matters. Maybe my proposal was something else. It gave me that edge, to just go to the parliament, speak, and take that no, and I converted it into something much better. And later on, I think we will discuss more about what happened last year. But all my proposals to emerge from that, from us as a 16-year-old to just go underground, say, yes, this is the reality of things. It was rejected. What do I do now? What I did now was to go in my local community and say, hey, we won't get a perfect idea. We won't get a perfect uh, story with what happened. What can we do pragmatically? And I
Mm.
want to highlight that word, pragmatically, because pragmatism is what bridges the politicians and the civil society and the mass. I think because there is always that gap. We don't know what's in the hands of a politician, and at times politicians don't know what is in the hands of a civil society. So to bridge that, I wanted to be that bridge. I wanted did around surveys and all of that, and it became what it became. So yeah, I think pragmatism would
Mm.
be answer
Mm.
to
Mm.
what, how do I get on the ground when I and do all of that.
Yeah, and exactly, so pragmatism in terms of what actually works here in
Yeah.
this setting where I am now, where I now find myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing that might not sound very pragmatic, but apparently very impactful, is the National Youth Consultation in Mauritius, and it reached over 13,000 young people, and
13,512. Yeah.
13,512 exactly. So, and the numbers are important there, right?
Yeah.
Because it is this amount of unique voices that were engaged. So, if we understand it correctly, you were asked to in some form represent a youth perspective, but instead of you bearing all those perspectives, you decided to mobilize almost an entire generation. Some might have just gone to the meeting and spoken for themselves and taken the pictures and then left out, but you turned this into a collective effort and carrying these voices with you, and that's definitely leadership beyond beyond the self. How did you even come up with doing it in that way when you get this type of question?
It's another angle of what we were just talking, pragmatism. I could have just, like you said, got myself, get all the glory. I would be in the newspaper for like 2 days, very good Instagram post and all of that. But would I have done my job pragmatically? Because representing the youth, you have to speak to them. You have to speak their language, their their ideas and what they want. Because I would simply be the vessel of their voice to reach the government and especially do actionable change. So if I went there just by myself, I would have not just done my job. So I just sat down, and it was such a great idea. It was at my school back then. It's called St. Joseph's College, and I just asked my friends. They are not very politically savvy, and they just said, you know what, just ask everyone. Everybody was just us and or someone else or someone else. So why not
Mm.
just ask everyone at this point? And so we started by doing surveys, national surveys based on each district of the country, and it went on for like 2 months. The surveys, we reach out everybody. It just take 5 minutes to fill out the survey, and we went also on the ground with the people that did not have connection and all that. Just pull up the tablet, tack, 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 5 minutes. And you would be surprised, how many people would just take the time to do it for you. Because it's very simple. Do you like this? Yes. Do you like that? No. Do you have any comments? If you had a comment, we'll just record it, and then we'll transcribe it later on. And yeah, and then it was very funny when we reached 13,000. We were just like, damn, we reached almost all the country at this
Yeah.
point. And we came out with what we called the Inno 25, which was 25 measures from the youth. And the most beautiful story into that is that we have 35 representatives because some project has two people what needed to talk about. And across all sectors of life, being education, be it technology, environmental, gender equality. We had our voice input there, and this is something what I would say very pragmatic when I did my job.
Mm. Mm. And would you how do you keep that type of engagement up? Because it's also one thing is of course the policy making and the formal decisions made on that, and the other thing is this 13,512 12 people. They also then expect leaders to be accountable and live up with what has been proposed, etc. So do you see that kind of as an ongoing movement now also in your country, or is it more like one-off events, or what would be your response on that? Is there a movement mobilizing?
I think that what worked a lot is that we did a coalition between many NGOs. I have to also
Hmm.
thank all the NGOs that help us into that. But like I said, once you do something, everybody got inspired because for these 35, they became official consultant of the Ministry of Education, Finance. I apologize,
Yep.
and many of them were teenagers like I am. And when it's just like the concept of train the leaders, train the trainers. They did that. Our friends got inspired. If we just do simple math, everybody knew at least 3 persons, right? If I train like 30 people, I will we will have impacted at least, let's say, 90 people. And it continues, it grows and grows and grows. And also in terms of accountability, we have to acknowledge that these makers, the government and everybody else, they are voted by us. We hold the power to actually change things. We hold the power on them, quote unquote. And I think that when you see all that mass, they will do the right thing at, as long as the right thing is sustainable and does make sense. So that's why we partnered with other people that have the knowledge to help us draft a proposal sustainably and make it make sense. So yes, to date is continuing. The National Student Council is still working. The NAFCU is still working, and many NGOs are still working. Why I'm no more part of NGOs because of my diplomatic things that I do and all of that. But I train the leaders, and the leaders are now leading after me.
Mm. Mm. That's also an act of like way beyond yourself as
Yeah, exactly. Because
yeah.
it did not need to end with me. Juan Pierre is not the face of the youth. Juan Pierre is like I said, the vessel that took the youth on that specific moment. But after me, it will be other people.
Mm.
After me, there are other people in Mauritius that will take the reins, let's say, of being the face of a youth and represent the youth. And I'm just looking forward to them, and I will try my best to mentor them.
Yeah. So that's also some great humility in that, and also considering what you talked about a bit earlier here. That you go in there, you might see that this might not be perfect, but it's something. We try it out, and we test our assumptions, and we learn in a very pragmatic way. And,
Yeah.
and and that's also something I would like to really elevate here. That you can be engaged as a voice or as an expert, and you think that I give the right answer, and if something was wrong, you go home and get sad about that. But you have this kind of learning mindset that you try out something, you get some feedback from the system, you adapt, etc. So it becomes like an ongoing engagement. So it's just fantastic to hear that, because I think it's quite rare, especially in these type of more formal forums, when you are asked to bring so much expertise and knowledge with you, and then it's about judging if it's right or wrong. So I love to hear that kind of adaptive ability that you have there in the spirit of pragmatism. Um, and coming to that, there is a person called Adam Kahane, and he's a quite famous facilitator of problem situations and situations of conflict and of high complexity. And he's been contributing a lot all over the world in working and facilitating change together with people in various contexts. And he has written a recent book where he interviews change makers and leaders around the world about their practice. And basically, he concludes that systems change or leadership, that doesn't really happen at these big events or the formal declarations or the big workshops, but it happens through the everyday practices of people who act responsibly, who collaborate across differences, experiment, persevere, etc. And that is also the theme of his most recent book. And I brought a copy for you, so
Oh,
I will
thank you,
give
sir.
it to you afterwards, and it's even signed for you. But I don't think you should read the book, because you should keep doing what you're doing. Don't get busy reading stuff. You should write books instead. But can you tell us what are your everyday leadership practices? And I think you have already touched upon some of them. But can you, from that type of question, can you come up with other type of everyday leadership practices you have in terms of practicing love, practicing pragmatism, mobilizing, finding your role, and learning? So what would you say are your habits in your leadership?
I think that the best habit that I love that I have is meditation and practicing gratefulness. Many people say mindfulness or gratefulness, but yeah, first of all, meditation helps to keep me grounded. Whenever I meditate, I just relax, realize, and live the moment. And this is very great. We often forget to live a moment, like right now I'm in Sweden with you, and I'm very happy about that. I want to feel that moment that I'm here. The second thing is about gratefulness. You need to be grateful for whatever you have, be it also for the tough moments. I'm kind of very spiritual. I ask myself, what is God's perfect plan trying to teach me today? Okay, today this did not work out. Why did not work out? Okay, what can I? What is a bigger plan from what I do? Also, I think in my practice, I would say that you need to be generally a good person. And it might sound very ambiguous, but let me tell you something. Every time that you just do a smile with someone else, it can make someone else day. And those are the little kind of things that when you add up that you're someone that's grateful, you add up that someone that cares, you add up that someone that is nice, you add up that all of that. It makes you a great leader. Why? Because you attract people. People want to talk to you. People are very interested about what you are. Like for example, I can come today and just say, "Hey, you have a nice coat on you." You just say, you will feel okay about it, you will feel happy about it, and you will want to talk more with me. And this ability to connect with other people, I think, is what helped me as a leader and could also help other people as leaders. Other great people and great leaders, I think, has that ability to be just very down to earth, talk
Mm,
to their people, and translate what their people want and do it at the executive level.
mm,
So I think about it. And
mm,
I think that in terms of, just to answer the point about being into international conference and all of that, I stay myself there. I bring my green shoes, I bring my style that I have, my traditional style, and I'm just myself here. For a simple fact that everybody is stressed in their life. Everybody has pressure, like we talked earlier. So might as well just be us, make someone else have a nice day, and do the work at the same time.
mm. meeting others as fellow human beings, as they are.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. You summarized it perfectly.
building social trust, connecting,
Yeah.
etc. I like that. So we are now approaching the end of this win-win talk, but I have one last question,
Oh.
and that is if you could invite everyone watching to begin one small practice of trailblazing leadership in their lives, something simple, but maybe also something real that they could start doing or practicing. What would you suggest?
So, my biggest advice to you is how do you solve your issues? It's very simple. You have an issue, right? Can you do something about it? Yes. You do whatever you have to do about it. Can you not do something about it? Man, you can't solve it. Focus on something else. It's such a simplistic concept, but it helped me all throughout my life. If I wanted to change back when I was 16, what the government decision was about my 1 billion mental health project, I would not be there. I would still be bitter. I would not come on the next year with everybody else and change things. I could not do something about it. So I found something else. I went and gathered all people, gathered consensus so that it worked. And you see, when you see another pathway, you can, I don't know, for people who understand maths, it's just like the Pythagoras theorem. Like, this is the closest line. This is the longest line, yes, but this might also be the best line. And for it to be longer, you will learn even more about it. You will learn more about the journey, and will be much more happy about the journey. So don't be afraid to take the longer path. And not everything has to be fast, not everything has to be simple. Sometimes whatever path is the better path.
Thank you, Juan Pierre, and it's been a true privilege being able to talk with you and learning from your practices and from your experiences, from your failures, and most importantly from what you've learned from that type of work. So with that, I would like to thank the audience for joining in on this win-win talk, and hope to see you around next time.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
audience. Thank you.